If you're learning how to kite surf, here's some really good information for you. I'm going to be doing a technical session with Ben. We're going to be going through some of the basics of kite control and management. These are things that need to be in place before you can start to do your water start and start to ride. We're going to talk about relaunching your kite, which is a little bit harder in light winds. We're going to talk about the self-rescue. We're going to talk about navigating in the water, including body dragging upwind. We're also going to touch on backstalling and taking care of your lines. Now I just want to say, if you're starting to ride your board or do your water start, but you don't have these things in place solidly, if you don't have the ABCs solidly, then the D's and the E's and the next steps are not only going to take a lot longer while you're fluffing around trying to get your board back, getting stuck, being lost at sea, losing your board. Not only will it take longer, but if you don't have these kite control points down, you're going to be putting not only yourself but the people around you in danger because you don't have control of your kite yet. So I've seen a lot of people trying to do their water start when they can barely control themselves in the water. It doesn't work that way. If you are talking to a student and trying to assess whether it's your student from the day before or somebody who's come into your school and done some kite surfing before, if you're trying to get an idea of how much skills they have and how good they are, don't ask yes or no questions like, can you body drag upwind? Can you do this? Instead, ask open questions that include questions like, why is this? How is that? What would you do in this situation? And you'll see me doing that in this video. Okay, so nice job the last couple of days. Picked up a lot of information, yeah. You notice if you look at this syllabus folder that we went through, we just pretty much checked off all the boxes, and if you go through later, you can look at that. Yep. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked, because you've done it before you came here. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you when you first came here. Do you remember when I said, you're riding along or you're doing your water start and bam, and you crash, bam, the kite's on the water, the board's back there. What's your plan?
Well, first of all, I kind of look around.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try to restart the kite to get back to the board.
Okay. In the instant that your kite crashes, you're going to
release the bar.
Yeah. And look around.
And look around.
Make a 360-degree check because you have to make a decision.
Yep.
And what's the decision?
Well, if it's kind of safe and there's no one around, no risk, I'll try to restart the kite and get back to my board.
Yeah.
If it's too risky or if there's, rocks or people around or whatever, I'll probably do a self-rescue like yesterday. But
okay, good. That's good. And so you're gonna relaunch the kite first and worry about the board later.
Yep.
There was once yesterday, and this is very common, where the kite was kind of here, and you're like, oh, I gotta go get the board. The kite is what you need to get back to the board.
Yep.
So get the kite first. So just say your kite's here, and you're okay to relaunch, and the kite's just laying right down in the wind window here. What are you gonna do?
I should wait, like the kite, if there's enough wind, it should actually move around.
Yeah, it'll start to do something, yeah. And just say it's kind of going there a little bit.
Well, if it's kind of getting there, I'll probably pull slightly on the back line.
Which one?
The left one. This one here.
Yeah. What if you're right kind of on the edge of where the waves are?
Oh, where the waves? That's not bad. Oh, that's good. I'll try to restart from the other side.
Good. And if it's kind of going this way, but the wind's not really catching it because it's not too strong and it's not getting here.
Okay, well, I'll try to give it some sort of tension with the back line, sorry, just a bit.
And if that doesn't work?
Bit of back line, maybe, slightly.
Okay, then we take our front lines.
Yeah, front line, sorry.
Yeah, and we just pull it, but remember, it's not the pulling that does it, it's the letting go.
Yeah, the letting go, yeah.
So we pull it in, and when we let go, we saw that a few times in the last couple of days.
It's going to catch up wind.
When you let go, it just kind of catches it, and it goes to the edge, yeah. And then once it gets to the edge, you're going to relaunch it, and you're just going to stabilize it right there.
Yep.
In fact, you're going to go right into your upwind body drag and start looking for your board after you're doing your upwind body drag. What happens if the kite falls down like this?
Oh, that's a trickier situation.
Which is the same thing as if it goes back like this.
Yeah, well, in this particular case, that's where you take the front lines and give them a long, couple of long, very, say, strong stroke.
That gets the air going here, and it's either going to kind of get it here to an easier place, or if you're fast enough, it's going to be up in there, and while it's in the air, you can take the bar.
Yeah.
If the kite falls like this, what's probably the reason it fell in the first place?
Okay. Too much backstone.
Yeah, too much pressure on the back line. And you discovered in a little bit lighter wind, it doesn't take much.
In the light wind, yeah, it's really subtle.
Really, yeah.
It's all about this finesse. What happens if the kite's like this?
And it luffs, flip, 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 and it falls down. First of all, what's the reason probably if this happened?
Probably, I don't know, probably I went too much behind myself or behind the lines, probably.
It kind of goes past the edge of the window. That can happen if, for example, you've done this and you've let the bar out and the kite shoots ahead and the bar is still all the way out when it gets to the window, to the edge of the window, boom, it might go past it. Or maybe if the wind is really light, then it's just going to happen if you don't have enough backline tension here. That's when that's going to happen. And if that happens, what are you going to do?
Well, first, wait.
Yeah, always just wait. Give it a sec. Look around.
Yeah, look around and figure out. It might
start to do this. Yeah. And if it doesn't, in this case, pulling on the front lines isn't going to help you at all because it's just going to pull the kite towards you. What you want to do is grab one of the back lines, give it a nice long
one of them.
pull.
Okay.
That's going to turn it around here,
and then
here, and your bar, you just let go.
Okay.
And if your kite falls like this, now what are you going to do?
Well, you're screwed.
Not really.
Well, you can wait. You can wait for a while just in case.
Because you'd be surprised a lot of the times if you give it a second. Oh, okay, it just kind of sorts itself out and goes back to here by itself.
Okay.
So don't be in a huge rush, and especially if you've left yourself some space, don't be in a huge rush to just start grabbing and pulling. If it's still not working, what are you going to do? The kite lines are tangled, or
well, they're really tangled,
or you can't launch it no matter what. Then what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to swim to the kite, and
okay, we don't really ever want to swim to the kite because the wind is just going to keep blowing the kite this way. Here's where you want to kick in the self-rescue. So let's talk about that self-rescue. You decided to do your self-rescue.
Yeah.
Step one.
Yesterday. So yeah, quick release first.
Yeah, that's
then
good.
Get to the
What's going to happen when you open your quick release? Hopefully the bar is going to run all the way up to that stopper knot. And when your kite falls and you're doing a quick release, sometimes it's going to be on the water like that, and that's kind of nice because there's very little pressure on the kite. If the kite is like this, it's going to be pulling you downwind, and even depending on the kite, some kites, even if the bar goes all the way up, it's not going to slip over all the way. And you might still have pressure on there. Okay. Or if you're on a single line flag out like the first kite we used, just one line will become the safety line, but your kite will still be like here grabbing some power. So you have to be ready for that when you do the self-rescue. But so your kite goes up to the stopper knot there, and what are you going to do next?
Well, then I sort of grab the safety line and I go as far as I can to the kite. If I have time to do it properly, I kind of put the line on the bar nicely. If it's too dangerous, if there are rocks or whatever, I just try to get to the kite as quickly as possible.
Okay, the first and the most important thing about the self-rescue, if you have to do a quick and dirty and you can just run yourself up to the lines, that's okay. If you need to get there within 10 seconds, but that runs a little bit of a risk if you're halfway through the kite and those lines are in your hand, or if you have one of the back lines in there and the kite can power up, then that line's getting pulled through your hand. So the key thing about doing an actual self-rescue is when the bar gets to that stopper point, you have to secure that safety line. So remember, with the thumb, we hold it down, we wrap it around, we do that half hitch, we do another one, and then you can make another decision. Okay, if I have time, I can wrap the lines nicely and get to that kite. But that's a really key part about securing that safety line, because if you don't, then you run the possibility of the safety line running out and then the back line's getting short again, and then taking up power. And then you don't want to be in that position when you're halfway to the kite and you're holding onto it by the line. Just like if you're doing a self-rescue and you're getting close to the shore and the wave hits the kite. We felt yesterday when the wave hits the kite, it's a strong pull, yeah. 1 cubic meter of water is 1,000 kilograms. So that's one of the things you decide, for example, when your kite's down, how close are you to the waves? Do I have enough time to get to that kite? And if not, maybe you have to do a quick and dirty then. But that's all decision.
Depending on the situation.
Yeah, so I always say everything that happens out there is a result of a decision that you make, or maybe a decision that you didn't make that you should have made. Let's talk a little bit about getting your board back, because sometimes that was smooth and sometimes that was not smooth. What did you learn about body dragging upwind yesterday to get your board?
Well, you can actually go pretty upwind, which
Yeah.
is surprising, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we said yesterday. Coming from sailing, I thought that I, would take
Yeah.
a lot of time to actually come upwind.
That's why you went
I went way up to come back because I thought,
Yeah.
it'd be difficult, but
Yeah.
I realized that it was pretty easy actually.
Yeah, and that's actually why we spent a bit of extra time showing you how to find that angle. And in fact, that's also why here, when we talk about the upwind body drag, there's a few things. When we're changing directions, what's our procedure?
It's
I'm
just
going here, I want to change direction, I want to go the other
so
way.
I'm body dragging this way.
Yeah.
I want to take it to 12.
What's the first thing you do before you do
I
that?
check.
Yeah,
Take it to 12.
yeah,
Two hands.
yeah.
Stabilize it.
Over here
Over
at
here
2 o'clock.
and then
Yeah, and that's such a huge point about stabilizing it first that I even made an extra line for that in this book. Upwind body drag, stabilize it with both hands at 10 or 2 before getting in.
yeah.
Because that half second of doing that might be the difference between you getting the board back or
Yeah.
not. So that's a little picky point, makes a lot of difference. So say you're here, the green arrows, the wind is blowing this way, and your board is here. You can probably body drag right up when you get to the board.
Probably.
So from this position here, we can get a good angle going upwind. If your board is down here, what are we going to do?
Well, I probably do a couple of strokes downwind,
Yeah,
and then
get yourself downwind first,
Yeah.
because we always want to approach the board from the side. Yesterday you ended up a couple times with the board floating around here. That really sucks because I've seen it a bunch of times. That board hits your quick release, now the kite's on the water and you've finished your session. So we always want to get it from the side. And then we did that thing where we keep our hand on the board. With one hand put the kite up and then put the board under. So we can go in that direction, we can go in that direction. What happens if the board's right here, kind of even with where the kite is?
Well, I can. Well, you can body drag, but not as upwind as you usually do.
Yeah, so if the board is right in line with the kite, you can just lay on your stomach, hold the bar with both hands, and you're going to go straight to the kite. So you have a lot of control from here. Are you going that direction, or that direction, or that direction? And interestingly enough, those angles and your body angle is all the same angles that we're going to use when we have the board. So you remember from yesterday, if you haven't gone really far downwind, just body drag up like 3-4 meters and turn around and look for it the other way. There's a thing that we call like a search pattern. If you're here, if your board is here and you're down here, but you don't know where your board is, what I'll usually do is I'll body drag upwind and just count slowly to like 5. Okay, and the whole time I'm upwind, I'm looking for my board. If I don't see it, then I'm going to go across the wind again, but this time I'll count to 10. Because it's twice the distance, and then you're just scanning for it when you go up. So you notice a few times yesterday, you went kind of far out and you thought the board was way up there, but it was actually just kind of downwind of you. So actually that happens a lot. I see people doing this, and even though they see the board, they're still body dragging upwind for some reason. So you can just adjust your course, boom, get right back to the board.
Sort of going like this,
Yeah,
and you drop the board here, right?
yeah.
Well, the best thing to do is usually to go the other way around, because usually it's not that far away. Whereas
Exactly.
yesterday, because of sailing, I was doing a lot of
Yeah.
tried to get back up, and then I sort of got here, which was too far away.
Way too far away,
And
yeah.
Kind of, you lost the board on this way.
Yes.
Just reverse and just go back there.
Exactly. So if you fall here and the board's kind of on this side, don't keep going that way. Just go towards the board. And then if you don't quite get up to it, if you miss it, just go a few meters past and come back and get it from the other side.
Yeah.
that pretty well covers that. So once you do it, because I noticed you were talking to the guy yesterday, once you do it, it all seems very obvious and normal. But for somebody the first time, it's like, what?
Yeah,
All those angles are
but yeah, it's true. Like you go, that's what surprised me. You go much more upwind than you do in sailing. So you can actually do a lot of upwind.
You can get a good angle,
Yeah.
and that's a function of how much power you have in the kite. And remember, your body position is super important. Get it right on the side so your body is kind of vertical and not on your stomach. Most people tend to go not as far upwind as they can because they're kind of on their stomach a little bit. Shoulder back, pointed at the sky, and your hook is pointed at the kite and your body nice and straight. Some people will try to kick. It doesn't really help. One other thing we talked about is when you come back, if your lines are a bit tangled, you can save a lot of time by that step-by-step thing. So make sure your lines, the line check from downwind, make sure they're right downwind of the kite, in line with that center strut. Clear the safety line first, get your clean bar, and then that saves you a lot of time. I've seen people spending 20 minutes on something that you can do now in 30 seconds. Yeah. All right, we'll end up there.